recording. There we go. Good evening, everyone. It is October 28th. Welcome to the North Clackamas School Board meeting, our open session. As usual, we are virtual and we will not be doing our flag salute, but that doesn't mean that we don't respect it. So we'll begin with our native land acknowledgement. Director Bauer.
Thank you, Chair Ford. We acknowledge the land on which we sit and which we call the North Clackamas School District. It rests on the traditional and indigenous lands and village sites of the native peoples of the Kalapuya, Chinook, Malala, and Clackamas. We take this opportunity to offer gratitude for the ability to learn, work, and be a community on this land. We offer thanks to the original caretakers of this region. We recognize the historic policies of colonization, genocide, relocation, and assimilation that affected Indigenous and Native families, both past, present, and that will affect those in the future, and honor the resilience and revitalization of our Indigenous and Native communities. We pay our respect to the elders, both past and present, who have been the stewards of this land throughout the generations.
Excellent, thank you. Open the floor for a motion to approve the minutes of our regular meeting, October 14th, 2021.
Director
McVeigh.
Way, so moved. Oh.
McVeigh, second.
I see a motion from Director Way and a second from Director McVeigh. Any discussion needed? Okay, seeing none. All opposed of approving those minutes, please voice yourself. Hearing none, October 14, 2020 regular meeting minutes are approved. Open the floor for governance meeting, October 16, 2021.
Director Benaloga, move board approval of the minutes of the governance meeting, October 16th, 2021.
Bauer, second.
Properly moved by Director Benaloga, second by Director Bauer. Any discussion needed? Okay, seeing none, all opposed, please voice yourself. Hearing none, governance meeting, October 16, 2021, minutes are approved. Next, I'll open the floor for consent agenda motion on employment changes, travel request, Milwaukee High School boys basketball, travel request, Milwaukee High School girls basketball, and travel request from Saban Schellenberg Construction.
McVeigh, motion to approve the consent agenda for the travel requests
And
employment changes.
thank you very much. I hear a motion. Do I have a second?
Way, second.
Excellent. Properly moved by Director McVeigh and properly second by Director Way. All opposed, please voice yourself. Okay, hearing none, consent agenda has been approved. Excellent. Moving right along, we are now moving into our community comment section, and I believe we have a few, but I first have to read this thing. Hold on. I was up and then it just went away. So give me a second. There we go. Any individual desiring to speak may indicate their desire by submitting their name, city of residence, either email address or phone number, and the group, if any, that is represented on the sign-in sheet or online form prior to the board meeting. The speaker should give their name, city of residence, and the group, if any, that is represented, and will limit their presentation to 3 minutes. If there are more patrons desiring to present comments than time allotted, the board chair has authority to reduce the presentation time of individual speakers or institute a prioritization process with attention to order of sign up and city of residence. Speakers may offer objective criticisms of the district operations programs that are of concern to them. The board is restricted from hearing and will not consider complaints regarding any individual district staff member or any person connected with the district. As an organization centered around youth and their positive development, all speakers will model respective public comment and be mindful of civil discourse. The board vests in its chair or other presiding officer the authority to terminate the remarks of any individual when those remarks do not adhere to the rules established in this policy. And as usual, when you get to 30 seconds, let me turn off my fade in the back so you can see it. Someone's not on mute. When you get to 30 seconds, I will show this sign and then that will show you that you have 30 seconds left. And at that point, if you get beyond 30 seconds, unfortunately, we have a couple speakers, so I will cut you off. One speaker at a time. I believe we have our first speaker. Is it Tristan?
Yep, I'm just admitted her, so it might take a second.
Excellent.
Tristan, can you unmute?
Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening, Tristan.
Good evening, Deborah.
You can begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you. My name is Tristan, and I recently removed my daughter from Rock Creek Middle School due to the sexualization of children and LGBT indoctrination that is happening in North Clackamas School District and schools around our nation. The Oregon Department of Education released its LGBTQ2SIA+ Student Success Plan in June of 2020. The plan outlines how it will help students who are at risk for bullying and harassment, suffering violence while at school, sexual assault, chronic absenteeism, and suicidal ideation. What is truly happening under this guise of anti-bullying is teachers demonizing students' parents and home life, encouraging students to place their trust in schools instead. Students are taught that their house isn't always a safe place, which is why it's important for schools to remain an anti-bullying environment where students can act differently. It is very clear to me that the Student Success Plan is actually creating a toxic environment where school officials are subjecting children to sexual assault, suicidal ideation, and harassment. North Clackamas School District is in an abusive relationship with the students who attend their schools. Student officials fill students' head with confusing sexual information and has led them down a path where they are forced to believe that gender is a choice. In a survey that was handed to students on the first day of school in a classroom of their peers, they were asked, "May we tell your parents your pronouns?" This is evident that the North Clackamas School District has a goal of placing a wedge between parents and children. If you truly care about our children and only have their best interest in mind, why would you intentionally give them the idea that their homes are not safe and their parents are unaccepting of any news that they might share? A public school is no place for children to contemplate their sexuality. Teachers are not trained to discuss gender identity with youth, nor do they have any business asking children about their sexual orientation. Not only are students discouraged from their biological gender identity, but due to radical school board policies undermining parental authority, parents have no clue of their children's gender identity until after it's too late, until after they've been convinced that they are not who they think they are. My daughter is raised in a home where she expresses herself freely. We have discussions about what is happening in society and how it affects her decision-making. We talk about her choices and the impact it has on her present and future. We discuss religion and pray for friends, family, and our country. We make time and space to share openly without judgment. We share our strengths, weaknesses, fears, and things that bring us happiness. For public schools to push concepts on my Christian daughter infringes on her freedom of religion. I don't appreciate what's going on in our schools, and we're speaking out, and we want it to stop. We want you to open up these school board meetings so we can be there in person. We want you to stop indoctrinating our children. It isn't fair to them. It isn't fair to us. It isn't fair to the future of America. You guys have a responsibility to educate our children.
And your time is up. I appreciate you coming this evening.
Thank you, Libra.
Seth, can you give me host privileges, please? I don't have privileges at this time.
I think Sandra is going to have to do that.
Okay. Okay, next we have, do I have privileges yet? Yep, I do.
Yes, now you do.
Yep,
And
perfect.
Angela is in the meeting.
Perfect. Welcome, Angela. Good evening. Your time begins now. We can't hear you. You have to take yourself off of mute.
Sorry about that.
There you
My
go.
name is Angela Peterson. I represent a group of parents and citizens. What? Can you hear me?
No, they're not on yet.
They said I am on. Okay. Okay. So I represent a group of parents and citizens focused on protecting our children from the imminent vaccine mandates, as well as mask mandates. We are not interested in fighting or debating with our school systems, but rather hope to work together to maintain the freedom to choose what's best for our families. Just to give you a little background, we are not anti-vaccine. You're on mute, honey. I'm not on mute.
You're not on mute. We can hear you. We can hear you.
You can hear me? Thank you. There are many reasons why we are against the mandating of this vaccine, especially for our children. The fact that natural immunity isn't recognized or factored into the vaccine mandates is cause for concern. This goes against all previous medical practices. It is also exceedingly rare that children have serious complications from COVID. The CDC shows a 0.002% mortality rate, which translates to a 99.998 chance of surviving COVID if a child catches it. More children died of the common flu in previous years. There is growing evidence of frequent breakthrough cases among the vaccinated. Vaccinated people are not only developing COVID, they are being shown to carry a higher viral load than the unvaccinated. Therefore, they are spreading the virus, yet we let them go unchecked and unquarantined. Young adults, especially young men, are having a growing incident of heart issues such as myocarditis and pericarditis associated with these COVID vaccines. Just this month, several European countries, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and Iceland, suspended the use of the Moderna vaccine in young adults because of the incidence of adverse reactions. We are still learning about how these new vaccines are affecting people and should especially be concerned for our growing children and young adults. We personally know a student in the district who is just 15 years old, who is in a OHSU case study with heart inflammation due to the COVID vaccines. He had extremely painful chest pains, and he is still on a heart monitor today. We want to keep government overreach out, and I just want to let you know to please see the FOIA documents that were sent certified mail to each board member and the superintendent from People of Choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Karen should be joining right now.
Excellent.
Hello.
Hi, Karen. How are you this evening? You can begin whenever you're ready.
All right. Thank you. Thank you again for having these meetings and being here present and listening to all of the comments that we have. I'm a parent of a third grader at Milwaukee El Puente and a pre-K child at Gladstone Teaching Preschool. Both of my kids have been sick twice this year. Understandably, we have been isolated for 18 months. The procedures between both districts is shockingly different. That is what I want to address today. In Gladstone, the secretaries call each family individually if children are out sick to find out what kind of symptoms the children are having. If you fall under any of the symptoms that the CDC said to look out for, you have to quarantine for 10 days or get a COVID test. If you're negative for the test, you have to stay out until you're 24 hours symptom-free without medication. If you quarantine, you also have to stay out for the 10 days and then until you are 24 hours symptom-free without medication. Secretaries even call and double check to see how things are going, to get a copy of the COVID test and send all of this information to the district office. For our one secretary, she takes care of Gladstone Teaching Preschool, Head Start, and all the kindergartners in Gladstone. They have a universal document of procedure to follow that every principal and secretary has. In our district, I have never received a phone call. Never have I been told this procedure from anyone in the school district. The only reason I even know what to do is thanks to the Gladstone School District. So how many parents in our school district even know this procedure? Have you translated them into the big 3 languages here in our district so that there is no barrier? Then you are putting my child at a greater risk of getting COVID and bringing it home because other families do not follow this procedure or don't even know this procedure. I have talked to the department that is in charge of these procedures for the school district, and they are just like risk management. They're willing to do the bare minimum and se lavan las manos. They just wash their hands. They have told me it is up to each principal to have a procedure in place and that I must speak to this principal and each individual principal. We do not have a universal simple document for our admin and buildings to follow. How is this efficient and effective? We have a whole department for this and they are not willing to put in the legwork. How does a child know that a knife is dangerous? How do we know systemic racism exists without somebody pointing it out to us and teaching us? How do our principals and secretaries know what the uniform procedure is when they are not given the resources to do so? Even something that they can send to the families that is simple and the procedure, not just the one page from CDC that tells us something that is clear. You have Parent View, Synergy, Peach Jar, and Parent Square to use to send these out. There's a common theme of lack of communication and huge pitfalls in your COVID procedure and not willing to improve. From the district level, to say I am very disappointed is an understatement. I understand the shortages. I understand the staff shortages that exist. I saw this happening 15 years ago when I came into education. And yet there is no simple reason why we can't send out a simple one-page procedure for all principals and secretaries to follow for the COVID. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Tara is joining right now.
Okay.
Tara, you're up. You can unmute.
I have to say, doesn't it feel good to be doing something? Yeah.
I'm trying to turn it around.
We hear you now, Tara. Your time begins.
I don't have anything from the board.
My name's Tara Nelson from Damascus, Oregon, and I wanted to go over some of our school board, North Clackamas board policies, flag displays, and statutes. Students shall receive instruction in respect to the national flag and be provided the opportunity to salute the U.S. flag at least once each week during the school year by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to see our board do that at the beginning of each meeting. We are also already recognizing Oregon's sovereign tribal government, so let's do both together. Site councils. The district shall establish a site council at each school in accordance with state requirements. That would involve the community and a voice of participation. Opening board meetings. We have asked why we're not allowed to have the board meetings open, even if they're to be hybrid. We could go to another location, a school classroom, where those have been successful, proven this last year. Granted, HB 2560 is to expand remote participation of public through technology, not replace it. Where is the equipment on the back order? We also are well known for our media and broadcasting classes out at the Schellenberg Center. Visitors to district facilities. The board believes a better understanding of its educational program and improved relationship between the district and community can be developed through visitations of parents and patrons. Community use of district facilities, recognizing that school facilities are built and maintained using local tax dollars, and that schools are a focal community point for community life. It is the policy of the board for the school facilities to be available for use of the community. The district seeks to cooperate with the community organizations and individuals who wish to use for educational, cultural, social, recreational, and civic purposes. Community involvement in decision-making, presentations at hearings, forums, and public meetings, participation on community. The district is committed to inclusive representation, reflecting the diverse community across the district. The input of the community should be given careful consideration. Public involvement, engagement, and communication program. The board believes public education can be improved through public involvement, engagement, and communications, resulting in increased instructions benefits for the students. The public engagement and communication programs should be planned, systematic, two-way process of communication between the district and its internal, external publics. The public efficiently and effectively inform all citizens of the district with purpose to the increasing understanding, to seek input and positively impact the health, safety, and success of students. Public involvement, engagement, and communications must include planned programs with public participation, deliberation, feedback to support the decision-making process and build trust. Communications must include internal as well as external audiences and must stress the dissemination of factual, objective, realistic data about the district that is transparent,
Terry, you're muted now.
Who's next on our list? Is it Eric?
Yes, I'll admit him right now.
Okay.
Eric, you're good to go?
His sound is still getting connected. There you
Good.
go. There we go. Eric, you can begin when you're ready. We can't hear you though. You're on mute, Eric.
Almost had it.
How about that, guys?
There,
we
now
go.
we can hear you. Got it.
All right. Cool. Did Tara run out of time or what happened there?
Yep, she ran out of time. Your time has begun.
So she ran out of time. Is that what happened? They were just confused at what happened. So
Yes,
clarify.
the time has begun.
Okay, guys. Hey, thanks for having me again tonight. I stand in front of you guys as what through some lenses is a man of privilege. I've had a lot of privilege where I've been able to read all the works of D'Angelo and Payne and Kendi. I've been fortunate enough to meet with Kamau Bell on a show of CNN, Shades of America. I understand what's going on. I've traveled the country talking with civil rights leaders in the South Side of Chicago and LA, DC, and so on and so forth. And it's been obvious to me that there's a definite gap between the have and have-nots. The challenge is, I believe that the public school system has the ability to level that playing field. But it's the obsession with equity that's actually proving to be the barrier to equity. I'm going to explain this in the way of mountain climbing. If you mountain climb, sometimes you set the goal of getting to the top of the mountain, but most tragedies happen on the way down, not on the way up, because they don't set the goal of getting down safely. They set the goal of climbing the mountain. So if you set the goal of getting home safely, by default, you climb the mountain. This is what I think is the school district's doing with equity. I'll give you some examples. Currently, the school system teaches that society is unfair and the demons of our institutions are rooted in patriarchy and racism, and they'll be forever looming over all of our students, which I understand some of those problems exist. But what if we take another group of people and we introduce them to immigrants that have literally fled their country, risked their lives to have a chance at this system, are now flourishing, happy, prosperous, grateful, to give them a sense of optimism and hope and show them that success leaves clues. And we look for those clues to go in front of them, not just focus on only the nightmares. Which set of kids do you think are more likely to be set high goals and be optimistic about their future? I think Group B. Schools currently create an environment where we're teaching primarily only the histories, the evil histories of America. So much so that a recently USA-themed event at Clackamas had to be canceled because it was deemed controversial. What if we didn't talk about those histories, but we also gave the context? And we talk about that every single civilization ever formed since the beginning of humanity is based on conquest and colonization. And that since the American experience has started, there's never been in the history of humanity a society that's donated more money, more resources, or more time around the globe than this country. Which set of kids do you think would be a good citizen? Because they have pride in their community, therefore donate, volunteer, and strive to help others. I think Group B. There's also a group of teachers that are talking about things like this. They say the main difference between liberals and conservatives, this is a quote, or that liberals are open-minded and conservatives are closed-minded, and therefore you're all open-minded because you're all liberals. This is a teacher talking to students, right? What if Group B is taught the irony of statements like that, and those are merely a form of prejudice. And they're taught to discern the difference between a statement of fact or an opinion from a leader. I think Group B, that would be less likely to be manipulated if they're taught those skills. See, here's the deal. A side benefit, let's see here. Sorry, just a second. Schools should turn out kids that are more empowered, independent thinkers, optimistic, and proud in their communities. But your quest for equity is creating a larger gap. We can and should agree that equity is something we should strive towards, but an institution of academia is proving not the proper tool for it. It needs to be a place of learning math, writing, science, and honest history. None of the things I talked about take any money or any other form of privilege besides perspective.
Libra, you're still muted.
Chair, you're muted.
Thank you, Tom. Your time is up, Eric. We appreciate you coming this evening. I think we still have one other person on the list. I see Carol Bernhardt is listed as speaking.
There's nobody in the waiting room.
Okay, so we got to all of our speakers then.
And I did not see her at any point, so.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate all the comments that we've received this evening, and in addition to what people have said here in the meeting area, we've also received many emails. I will say in regards to comments and public community comments, we are getting a plethora. When I say plethora, I mean over hundreds of emails from constituents that are not in our district. And I would say that if you are interested in this effort of North Clackamas School District, I would get in front of those comments because they're not helpful in terms of using the time of this school district well. So, like I said, we want to hear from our local constituents. We don't really need to hear from constituents that do not attend this school district, and it is not a good use of our time and our resources. So as community members who care, get in front of who's writing us letters so that we can actually hear the voices of the constituents of this school district. Moving on to our next agenda item, which is a Native American Heritage Month proclamation. I'm excited to announce that this is an opportunity for us that started in 2009 in the United States. I'm excited about the proclamation. We can begin by reading it. Do all the board members have their section? Go ahead and begin. I believe Director Benaloga, you start us off.
Yes, thank you, Chair Ford. Whereas National Native American Heritage Month celebrates and recognizes the accomplishments of the peoples who were the original inhabitants, explorers, stewards, and settlers of the United States. And
whereas for more than 500 years, Native communities across the Americas have demonstrated resilience and resistance in the face of violent efforts to separate them from their land, culture, language, and each other. They remain at the forefront of movements to protect our earth and the life it sustains. And
whereas the North Clackamas School District is deeply committed to equity and inclusion, this stance includes the cultural affirmation of our students, staff, parents, and community members who identify as Native or Indigenous people. And
whereas the North Clackamas School District strives to close the equity and outcome gaps for Native American and Alaska Native students through policies and practices that reflect the experiences of the Indigenous peoples, ensure greater access and opportunity in our Native and Indigenous roots, history, heritage, and contributions. And
whereas our community is better because of the diversity of our population. And
now therefore be it resolved that the North Clackamas School District hereby proclaims the month of November 2021 as Native American Heritage Month in the North Clackamas School District and encourage all residents to honor Native American history and culture.
Adopted this day, this 28th day of October 2021. Exciting, considering that this has only been in the United States since 2009. I'm excited to continue this tradition. I will open the floor for a motion.
McVeigh, motion to approve superintendent's recommendation that the board adopts the proclamation recognizing November 2021 as Native American Heritage Month in the North Clackamas School District.
Director Perez, second.
And properly moved by Director McVeigh and second by Director Perez. Any discussion needed?
Hi, Chair Ford, thank you so much. I just want to leave a comment that I remember, I want to say a couple of years ago, our district hosted, I believe it was one of our very first Native American family and student nights. And it was a great celebration. Director Perez was there, Director Bauer. I know many other board members were also there in spirit. And I just, I remember a grandmother come up to me and said, I've been a grandparent in this district for many, many years. Her kids went to this to our district, and then now she's raising her grandkids. And that was the first time that she felt that her identity and her culture and that of her grandkids' identity and cultures were being recognized and celebrated at Clackamas High School. And so, I always reflect back on that story, because what I think about is ultimately the legacy that we're leaving for our students and for many, many future generations to come. So at the end of the day, I think we do this work in spirit of all of the students in our district and their families and communities. And I hopefully that grandma is still around and she's still listening as we're passing this proclamation. But I just want to thank this board for continuing to honor all of our families.
Thank you for that. Any other directors with any comments? Excellent. I'll just end with a comment. We have someone in one of our municipalities of North Clackamas School District, and I'm going to call them out because they're pretty phenomenal. His name is Gary Rifkins in Milwaukee, and he's done a wonderful job of creating a path to a better future, which honors the Clackamas people of our Native American heritage. And it's just a wonderful thing. So if you don't know him, I hope you get to meet him one day. He's a resident here, a long-term resident, and has done wonderful things on behalf of this community. So just wanted to honor that. Okay, let's go ahead and do a roll call for a vote on this proclamation. Director Perez, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Benaloga?
Aye.
Director Strado?
Aye.
Director Way?
Aye.
Director McVeigh?
Aye.
Director Bauer?
Aye.
And I'm also aye. Unanimously passes. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Next thing on our agenda is NCEA Featured Educator. Who is presenting tonight?
Hi, that's me, if you can hear me.
I can hear you. You're also sideways though.
I'm sideways.
Yeah.
I'll turn my camera.
There you go. Now we see you. Yeah. Well, welcome, Miss Michelle. How are you this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. Hope you all are doing well. I am doing this on my phone because I had a technology problem tonight. So I appreciate you giving me the heads up on my camera angle there. So as you know, I am the Vice President of North Clackamas Education Association, and I am honored to be here today to introduce you to our featured educators of the month. This month, we are here to honor the work of the staff of our virtual online program, also known as the VOP. One of the many things that this pandemic has done is it has challenged our ability to provide access to education for all students, including those who are currently unable to attend in person due to the pandemic. In an attempt to provide a quality education for those students, the VOP was born. Putting together a new school is never easy, but this was especially challenging work due to the short timeline and a different model of teaching. This selection is a testament to all of that hard work of all the people involved who came from all over the district to create a new community to meet the needs of their students. Jessica Magnet nominated the VOP teachers for this award. Here's what she had to say. The VOP teachers and staff work tirelessly to provide a virtual program that is engaging and meaningful for all students and families. Teachers provide both group and one-on-one sessions to give students the support they need to navigate the virtual program, all while remaining positive and hopeful despite the challenges of the pandemic. The VOP doesn't have a building with classrooms like you'd expect when you think of a school. However, the care and dedication of our staff, they demonstrate that to nearly 1,000 students every day. Teachers work to supplement canned curriculums with material that is more culturally responsive and relevant for our students. Our administrative team reflects on the various needs of families and responds as immediately and effectively as possible. Students feel empowered to reach out to their teachers regularly as a result of the one-on-one advisory sessions that we provide, making sure that their needs are being met. For a staff that teaches remotely, it is more cohesive than many who meet in person on a daily basis. It's truly an honor and a privilege to be part of this learning community. Former Administrator Joe Bridgman said, "I'm continually impressed by the teachers and the staff in VOP. They are passionate about supporting students and families. talented and gifted teachers, and dedicated to building an outstanding program. Current Administrator Stafford Boyd said, caring, creative, kind, collaborative, and kids-centered. This is the VOP team. They prioritize student wellness, partner with families to build trust, and find ways for each student to experience academic growth and success. It is a privilege to serve a staff that epitomizes the professionalism and the values of North Clackamas School District. And so now we are going to hear from Melissa Poff, who is here tonight to speak to you on behalf of the VOP staff. Thank you.
Wow, I feel like I have nothing left to say, but we have some celebrations to say. That was a lot. Thank you so much. We have a lot of VOP staff that have joined us, and we were given instructions to turn our cameras on. I don't really know what that means for the whole scheme of things, but if you are a VOP teacher, turn your camera on, give a wave, raise the roof, some spirit fingers. It's good to see you guys. I am Melissa Poff, and I'm a first grade teacher in the virtual online program. And this is my 15th year teaching in North Clackamas School District. And first off, I want to thank the board for continuing the virtual online program into its second year. We are a team of teachers that think of this program as a school, and we would love to see the school continue to grow in the future. Today, I'm delighted to celebrate my colleagues in the VOP. We are teachers who range from their first time having their own class of students to a veteran teacher who is energetically teaching for her 32nd year. We are 34 classroom teachers and 4 instructional assistants who are trailblazing online teaching for our school district. We are celebrating, planning, communicating, sometimes crying, and cheering each other on daily through texts, phone calls, emails, and lots of Google Meets. Even though we aren't sharing a classroom with our students in a building, we are a community of teachers who are fighting for our students' rights. We listen to what students and families need, and we take action as best as we can to make improvements. We are creating and maintaining a flexible learning environment for 884 North Clackamas students. We anticipate stuck points, lead by example, take risks, reflect on our mistakes, and build on our successes. We have high expectations, and we believe in each student's potential. And most importantly, we, like all teachers in our district, are joy makers. We love to laugh and create shared experiences with our students over our computer screens to build an environment for learning. We have 448 elementary age students and 436 6th through 12th graders. Here are some things that we celebrate for and with our students. A 3rd grade teacher would like to share that she loves the light bulb moments and loves that our program is self-paced and kids who are ready can move forward and aren't waiting for others to catch up. A 4th grade teacher loves that students can focus on their learning without fear of being bullied or without getting distracted in a noisy environment. A 6th grade teacher shares that she enjoys frequently working with her students one-on-one. An 8th grade social studies teacher explains that the VOP provides flexibility to his students' lives. They can be more efficient with their time and access school from anywhere. A 7th grade math teacher wanted to share about her students in VOP that they are learning to advocate for themselves by learning to reach out and asking for help, asking questions, and making appointments. One high school teacher celebrates that older VOP students are able to work a job that they enjoy while they continue their education. These students report both financial and mental health benefits from this flexibility. A high school teacher loves that often VOP students share that they enjoy taking classes online because it's a safe space, not just from COVID, but also from racism and bullying due to disabilities or gender identities to learn. To sum it up, I'd like to share what one of our school counselors, Janelle Menzia Murphy, has said. What I celebrate about VOP is student choice. Whether it's a high school student working a little faster through requirements in order to graduate early, or an elementary student doing school from home to allow for social anxiety to take a back seat. The VOP is a powerful reminder that one size does not fit all, and when it comes to what's best for educating students. Thank you so much for taking the time to recognize the teachers in the virtual online program.
Thank you guys. Oh my God. This is our first like real introduction to you guys. So that's pretty cool. And of course, Miss Puff, my kid over here says hello to Mr. Puff. So just a side note. Okay, board members, do we have comments and words of wisdom or questions? Please raise your hand so I can see it. Well, seeing none, I will say I appreciate you guys showing up. I appreciate you guys showing up every day for our kids and also this evening, and also being a part of the innovation of our school district, which is going to new levels. So appreciate you guys and all the things that you do for our kids, especially 884. That's a lot. That's a lot of kids. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. All right, next on our agenda, we have, sorry, my iPad closed on me. Our board recognitions, Dr. James.
Good evening. I found myself trying not to get a little choked up over that. I just know how hard our teachers are working right now and just want to take the time to say thank you. And I think it's great for the meaningful recognition that they got. Sorry, my timer's going off on the back behind us. We'll see if we can get it turned off here. I want to continue on with the recognition of some additional staff members that we have. Our staff continue to show up in their best selves despite all that they're carrying on their shoulders and with staff shortages, and they are doing amazing work on behalf of our students. Part of that is our North Clackamas School District Transportation team, and our bus drivers and our transportation department continue to win awards year after year for their safety and professionalism, and are doing it right now despite the challenges that they are facing. In this past year, 4 North Clackamas transportation members were recognized for their achievements. And so I want to share all 4 of those tonight and say congratulations to them. So tonight, I would like to recognize Bob Dulamage, who was awarded the Mechanic of the Year award. Pretty exciting for us and for him. Jennifer Carmichael, who was awarded the Doug Flatt Award for Administrative Assistant of the Year. Additionally, we had Laura Salsky, who was awarded Driver Trainer of the Year. And our Director of Transportation, Kathy Calkins, who was awarded the Oregon People Transportation Association President's Award. And I just want to honestly, from the bottom of my heart, congratulate these team members and thank your entire department for the incredible service that you do for our kids. I know today was a rough day and our director had some challenges and took care of them and showed right back up to work and is here with us tonight. So I just want to say thank you. And I don't know if they have anything that they would like to say.
I have a great team. I do. I just thank you guys for your support of transportation. We love what we do. We love our kids and we just keep on rolling. And so Jennifer's here. Bob gets up at 5 in the morning. So I was hoping he would show up, but I didn't hold my breath. But thank you. Just thank you. That was nice.
Thank you, guys. Did anyone else want to say something from the team? Board members, anyone? Director Bauer?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much. It's a job that I could not imagine. I did teaching for a while and that was tough. But I tried to get my husband to do it. He said, no way. But for you to do it in these times and to keep the buses moving and your leadership, it seems like you've hit all the categories with winning awards. So congratulations and thank you for being there. We really value you. Getting the kids safely to school.
Anyone else? Well, I will end with saying, I think everyone knows that I have a special place in my heart for our transportation department. I actually don't even know where it comes from, because as a kid in New York City, there's no buses except public buses. There's no school buses. But I have a natural just attraction to this department that I think it's just a really powerful thing to get kids around and to get them around safely. And so I would like to say that I think you guys are shadow warriors. Obviously, you're quiet, but you guys are fighting a good fight, and we really appreciate everything that you do every day. And I look forward to visiting you guys. I'm excited. It's on my calendar. I got lots of room, and I can't wait to come. Hopefully, I can sit in the bus driver's seat. Thank you, guys. All right, next on our agenda is we have the Adrian C. Nelson High School presentation. Do I see Principal Harris there?
Yes. Hello, Director Ford.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. I'm going to, first of all, just thank you for having me, school board members and Superintendent James. I appreciate coming and speaking to you and talking about our school. I'm going to, Zoom is not my normal mode of communication, so I'm going to hope that everything works, but hopefully somebody will swoop in and save me if something happens. So give me, I think in order to present my slideshow, I need to have, there it is right there.
So while you're working that out, it's my mistake. I was supposed to introduce Petra first. My apologies. I just went straight to you. So let me give her an opportunity to speak first, and then we can get right to your presentation.
All right, well, Greg Harris is the star of the show. So I'm really happy to have him here tonight, because there's been a lot of great things that have been going on in Adrian C. Nelson at the start of the school year. So I'm happy for him to be sharing.
Excellent. Can you all see my screen right now? Yes. Yep. All right. So a lot's happened since I last talked to you. Mainly, we actually opened the doors to our school and invited about 1,200 students into our building this year. And we are finally at the stage where we are up and rolling and starting to settle into routines, which is pretty crazy feeling since the planning of this has been over a year and during the pandemic. And so tonight I'm just going to share a little bit about what we're doing and kind of some of the strategies we're taking as we're entering this first year with all of the other struggles and challenges and successes that other schools are facing, and just building our own identity and building our school. You're not going to hear all of the stories. And so I just invite you to, if anybody wants to come and hang out with me for a day or get a tour of the building and see some students, I'd be happy to do that. And so just reach out to me and we can set that up if that's something you'd like to do. All right. So first we're going to talk, I just want to talk a little bit about our core philosophies, because really what we did with staff and some students last year, even as they were at Clackamas High School, working on them transitioning to Adrian C. Nelson High School as it opened. We really have kind of three pillars that we're focusing on this year. And so we have community, equity, and preparation. These are a big deal to us. The community one is a huge, huge, huge deal. We focused on staff community, especially because we know that about 80% of our staff came from Clackamas High School, but 20% didn't. And of those teachers who came from Clackamas High School, some of them taught only in CDL and hybrid from a campus that might have been separated from the others, from the other staff. And so really taking last spring, taking the summer, and taking the beginning of the year to just build that staff community so that our staff can then start working with the students and building the student community as well. We really have a desire for students to feel connected in school. We know just research says that students who feel connected in school have a greater rate of success, greater rate of graduation. But even beyond that, just having students walk into the school and feel like they belong there is just such a powerful thing. We want our students to leave their high school experience having stories, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go on this evening. Equity obviously is at the heart of everything we do. I think the last time we spoke, we talked about, I shared our desire to not just create inclusivity to include students, but to actually create belonging so that the students feel a sense of belonging in the school. And a little bit later, we'll hear from some student voices about how that's going. as with any place, we still have a lot of work to do, but listening to our students gives us the guides on where we need to go. And then preparation. And we'll talk about a little bit about our AP and college credit classes that we have, and really increasing the access of those classes to all, and also continuing our strong district partnership with Sabin-Schellenberg so that we have all of those connections to all different avenues for student success and different ways that students see themselves as successful. So tonight I'm going to go over a few highlights and hear from student voice, and then I'll leave it up for questions if people have questions for me. So the first highlight that I want to talk about is our focus, like I said, was community, really building the strong feeling that this school belongs to students. And one of the huge ways that high schools have an opportunity to do this is through club activities. These are almost can be considered electives for students, self-selected places where students find identity and belonging. I think all of us can remember back in high school, and the different things we belonged to were just as important, or sometimes even more important, than the classes we took. I remember growing up, I was in marching band, and that was a huge identity for me. It's actually where I met my wife, is in marching band, high school marching band too. And so it's just a huge, we know that students find connections and find stories, positive stories in what they're involved in. And so in our first year, we have 20 plus sponsored clubs. So at the time we had 20 sponsored clubs, but we were adding about 1 or 2 clubs every single day since I pulled that number. Of those clubs, we have about 300 students, more than 300 students involved in those clubs and affinity groups. So just a huge participation rate for a 1,200 student high school. And then in addition to that, we have 200 plus fall season athletes, and that's with a senior class that only has about 85 students. So just a huge amount of participation. If you go onto our Instagram page, you'll find all of these clubs and activities and sports that are active on Instagram, just sharing their pictures and their experience in the first month and a half of school. And on here, you can see kind of a highlight. We've got our theater club up and running. We've got cheer. Volleyball is doing really well. We won our first ever playoff game last night in volleyball against Roseburg, and we play Central Catholic on Saturday. We have GSA, we've got our dance team, and obviously many, many more. So kids are connected, and when they're connected, they find success. So that was one of our goals, and we're well on our way in that goal. Another highlight, a huge highlight here, is academic rigor plus access. We want more students to be taking AP classes. But we also know that we can't have more students take AP classes if they don't feel prepared and they don't have the supports to make them successful there, to help them be successful there. Also, I think it's important to talk about the reason why we have AP classes. I think I was talking to a teacher today, and we were kind of talking about why the difference between why teachers think AP classes are important and why students think classes and families think AP classes are important. And one of the reasons why we think that families believe AP classes are important, for the most part, is for college credit. And that certainly is one huge driver for AP classes, is that you earn college credit in high school when it's free or cheap, and it saves you a lot of money when you get into college. We know, though, being in a high school and being AP teachers, we know that the real benefit, the huge benefit, is finding success in an AP class builds confidence and builds skills for students so that they're more prepared to be successful in college. Saving money for 1 or 3 credits of college classes costs, it's a chunk of change. But a student who finds themselves absolutely lost in college and spends 3 semesters studying in college and then drops out, that is way more expensive. And so really AP classes are preparing and leading students and making them feel like they are confident in those rigorous academic spaces. And so we really want all students to experience that. And so one of the things that we've done there is we have converted our English class into a pre-AP for all English class. So high academic rigor plus supports for students in 9th grade. And next year, as we roll into next year, we'll have pre-AP in 10th grade as well. We're also focusing on an AP capstone program that will offer an AP diploma option for students who take an AP seminar and an AP research courses. These are not necessarily content driven, but student interest and research driven, and give students powerful tools to be successful in academically rigorous classes in community college, in college, university, even trade schools. Currently, we have about 1 in 5 students enrolled in an AP class, which is a pretty big deal considering that we have, again, only about 85 seniors, and that's a grade level that usually has a lot of AP students in it. And we'll be starting in the next couple of weeks a after-school tutoring program that will focus on students who are in AP classes who might be struggling, providing them extra supports and extra help. One of the things that I did want to talk about is just our challenges in opening. A few of the things that, not necessarily lessons learned, but things that have just challenged us as we've gone along. And I also think in reflecting on these challenges that they've also become our strengths as we open. I would not have said that in August. They seemed very much like weaknesses in August, but now that we are 6 or 7 weeks into the school year, I can definitely see that they are strengths. So the first one is planning and opening amidst the pandemic. When I was announced as the principal of Adrian Nelson High School, the planning principal with a year to plan for the opening, I had huge visions about what that would look like. And then the pandemic happened, and my access to students and my access to staff and their capacity to even do some of this work was greatly diminished. And so what we had to do is we had to pause a lot of that work. And in August, that very, very, very much seemed like a weakness. But now what I'm realizing is that we would have planned that work without our student body present in the building. And it's a strength for us to have laid a foundation, but now we can really flesh that out with students in our building. And that's a strength and something that I wouldn't have thought about unless forced to do because I'm a planner by nature. Also, every single system needs to be built. I underestimated the idea. I've been a principal of buildings before, so I've stepped into the role of principal before, and I underestimated how many systems are invisible and how many systems just function without anybody touching those systems. And so then we can focus on maybe 1 or 2 systems a year and tweak those systems. And it's unbelievable how when you step into a building that's never existed before, how every single system needs to be created, and it's very, very visible. Again, felt like a weakness in August, still kind of feels like a weakness, but really the strength here is that we have to be intentional about every system we create. We get to be intentional about every system we create. So from where does the paper for the copy machines go? To how do we honor students during our homecoming traditions. And so when we talk about traditions start here, that's something we talk a lot about, and traditions are systems. And then the last one is becoming a small school. We had staff members who had taught, I think, 27 years at Clackamas High School. And we had a lot of staff who taught for very many years at Clackamas High School who had to pick up and leave the building that they knew, the staff that they knew, and move to a new building. We had students who had grown up since kindergarten with friends who had to move away from friends and enter kind of that scary world of not only coming back from CDL and hybrid, but coming back maybe without their friends. And so that is really difficult. It's really challenging. But becoming a smaller school also means that students know students on a deeper level, and they're known by students on a deeper level. And we know our students better because there's fewer of them in a smaller footprint of a building. And I know that Clackamas has felt the same way. I've talked to them as well. And so by becoming a smaller building, we can know our students better, and it becomes a strength. All right. And now I'm almost certain that you're sick of me talking. So I'm going to go ahead and let some students talk about their experience. I prompted them with some questions and then just left them alone with Brian McGrew to answer these questions. And so we put this piece together for you. And hopefully, if you can't hear the audio, wave at me and then I'll see what I can do. Can you hear that?
crazy because we get to see new programs and new starts and new traditions. So yeah.
I think like being the first group of students at this school is a really cool experience. I mean, very few people ever get this chance to be the first of a community and like the first like to build up a base, like a solid base for the school.
It feels good. I was a little nervous, especially since I am an upperclassman. Just starting new when you're an upperclassman is a little bit hard sometimes just because you have so many friends that are usually staying back that it felt weird a little bit. And it feels good now.
Interesting opportunity to have because not a lot of people will get to be the first group of students to go to a brand new high school. But there is a lot of pressure because it's like whatever you do this year and years to come is going to set the way of like the momentum of the school for other kids to come to this school.
I think it's such an amazing experience because, I mean, coming from a new school especially, like you get to see all new facilities, all new sports equipment and all new stuff like that. So it's just awesome to be here and in such a great atmosphere too.
I would say I feel privileged to be part of the school just because it's a really good school and the staff is amazing. The students also, they made me feel welcome somewhere I've never been before. Basically, I don't know anyone here, so the people being nice to me really, it gets me going, you know? Like it makes me want to come to school and not just stay home.
It feels really comfortable because as freshmen, it's very scary going to a new school. And so when everyone else doesn't know what they're doing because it's a whole different school, I don't feel as lost.
I was so nervous because, you know, most of my friends are at Clackamas. But honestly, the most exciting part of this year was being able to step up and be the chair of our equity committee here at Student Council. So this year I've gotten the experience to really build on what I've learned at Clackamas and, you know, restart it all at here. And I'm pretty excited to start my journey with a whole new team of people.
I think like home football games has been really cool. Just seeing the community that we've already built. Just like when I'm on the field, I got a whole community supporting us that they don't care about what's going on. They just care about cheering us on and supporting us.
Kids are very friendly and everyone says hi to each other and the school spirit is pretty good too. Like everyone likes to rep their Hawks logos and like football teams and basketball teams, all the sports teams, they all have pretty good support and stuff like that. So that's always awesome.
Meeting Mr. Redden. He is my AP Spanish teacher. He introduced me to another teacher here. So I'm becoming part of the Latinx club. Well, I'm excited to meet new people there. But Ms. Redden has been a really good teacher to me, just making me feel welcome in the school.
I like all the clubs. There's just a lot of them. There's a big variety and they're all very inclusive of everyone.
I think, you know, all the staff have done a great job welcoming all of us and making us feel like we really belong here.
One day I was at lunch and this girl from across like the lunchroom, she yelled, "Oh, you're beautiful. I love you so much." And her friend like responded, "Oh my goodness, me too. Oh my goodness." And kind of like ran away. But it was so cool. It was like for a moment, it's like everything stopped and you got to see like the coolest interaction. It was just so incredible. Yeah.
I saw a kid being made fun of for being transgender. One of my best friends, she confronted the person that was, I guess you could say, scolding the student for being in the LGBTQ plus community. She told them that it wasn't okay and that it's fine if they're transgender because they're human. She definitely made sure that the kid understood that what he was doing is wrong. The kid that was saying all this rude stuff to left the kid alone. So
I was living in California, did my freshman and sophomore year at a high school called Calexico High School. Like 3 months or so ago, me and my family moved here and I started my junior year here at Nelson. I would just say the people here are very different. They're very positive and they give you good vibes. Compared to my old school, this school is really, I don't see much bullying or negativity here. I feel like it's a very welcoming place.
eccentric,
comfortable,
different,
gratefulness,
Welcome.
new.
Unique.
a symphony that has finally come together to form one beautiful part of music.
How awesome are those kids? They're pretty amazing. In my wildest dreams, when I put a video camera in front of them and asked them some questions, the stuff that we got from them and their stories that they told us, I mean, that was only a snapshot of the interviews that we had. Were really powerful and really inspiring. So I appreciate them. If you have a chance to drop by and say hi to those students, they'll probably teach you a thing or two, because I know they do to me as well. Also, I think it's important, before I kind of wrap things up here, is I think it's really important to shout out our students, because splitting this Clackamas High School into two schools was challenging for a lot of people, and there was a lot of emotions that were wrapped up in that. And our students have absolutely been the model for how to handle that. Not only our students, but Clackamas students as well. So I'm going to tell you just a quick story. Our first home football game of the season, Clackamas High School was supposed to have a home football game that day too, but theirs got canceled because the other team had issues with COVID. So their football game was canceled, but ours was on. And our student section was packed, and we had a neon theme night, and everybody's wearing neon, and it was such a great environment. It was so amazing. And afterwards, because I didn't really know the students yet, because our first home game was in the in-service week, I went down and I started talking to some kids, and what I realized is half of the students who showed up for our home football game were Clackamas kids. And I asked one of them, I'm like, you guys showed up, you cheered on our team legitimately. That's amazing. That's so cool. And one of the kids said, of course we would. We've been playing with these kids. We've been playing with the same guys since we were kids. Like, these are our brothers. And it was just so like, yeah, absolutely. Like, we're rivals, crosstown rivals, but that rivalry is we're brothers, we're sisters. We belong in this community together. And our students just showed up to show everybody, this is how we do it. This is how we start a new high school and have two high schools that are crosstown from each other. So I appreciated that. I'm going to end really quickly with a poem that many of you heard when you were at the grand opening. And this is just an excerpt from the poem by Anis Mosgani, who wrote this poem specifically for the opening of Adrian Nelson High School. And the excerpt is, those are two tasks before you, to come from someplace and to go with yourself towards another. Half is already done. You come from somewhere, and from it you will go to some place. Oh, the songs you might hear, the songs you will sing, and the songs you must share. And this has been our guiding light as we've opened. We shared this with our staff in the in-service week. We did a lot of work around this, because the recognition that our students don't come as empty vessels into our classroom, they come from some place. And that's beautiful and amazing. And coming from someplace means they also came from CDL and hybrid, and there's work that we need to do with them, but we will help them go to someplace. And hopefully along the way, we will share our songs with them and also have them share their songs with us, which has been just an amazing ride in the past few months, just getting to know our students and our staff and opening up this building. So that is the presentation that I have for you. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have, but I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so I can see everybody.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Principal Harris. Anybody have questions? Can you raise your hands like Director Perez, please?
Thank you, Chair Ford. Thank you for the presentation, Principal Harris. I just want to say, I remember first time I met you, it was at Rao Middle School. It was for the Rao community collaboration that you had going on there with Harry Applebaum and Stephanie. I'm gonna say Stephanie D, because I'm afraid I'm gonna slaughter her last name. But I remember when I walked into that room, and everybody was around in the circle, all the various resources and community service partners and family service partners, Wichita, everybody was there. I remember walking in thinking, wow, and everybody was warm, and you were warm and welcoming. And I remember sitting there thinking, this is kind of cool. First time here at the school, first time, and I felt totally comfortable. And so listening to you describe, the community that you've created there at Nelson, and that touched my heart. It made me feel happy for those kids that they're walking in there and they feel a sense of family there, brothers and sisters, and that you're replicating that same environment you replicated, or that I personally experienced at Rao. I've yet to come to Nelson, but I'm planning on coming, and I just want to say it sounds wonderful. I'm looking forward to visiting.
Thank you.
Director McVeigh.
Hi, Greg. I just want to say thank you. I have only read and heard positive comments on social media, and social media can be a tough audience as people find a lot of bravery behind the keyboard. And I have yet to read or in the community hear anything that isn't positive about Nelson. And so congrats to you. And from those students, I loved hearing their voices. And the two really themes that really stuck out was the responsibility to do it right, setting the tone since they're the first class in there, the expectations, and to model the right behaviors going forward. And then all of them talked really about the privilege of having something brand new, and we can all relate to having something brand new and not take it lightly. And last, Greg, Principal Harris, I just want to thank you and your team. You obviously have set the tone of that school, and you're growing a great community of future contributors to our world. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Miss you at Rao.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Director Benaloga.
Yes, thank you, Chair Ford. Principal Harris, wonderful to see you again. Rao lost a great leader. I know your energy had permeated the building, but true leadership is about making the people around you better when you're there, so that when you're absent, they're still carrying on. So I know Rao is still successful because of all of the work that you've done in the building. And then you're continuing that at Nelson, which I think is so important. And I really appreciated hearing from your kids how they're creating that community. And I think that the way you're moving forward and the positivity that you're using in your building, I think, again, your energy is permeating those systems that you're creating. And we definitely appreciate you and your staff and your students putting their energy and their passion into making Adrian C. Nelson just a wonderful North Clackamas High School. So thank you for all you do. And I will take you up on a tour soon. I also was not able to make the ribbon cutting. I did watch it afterward, but I absolutely will take you up on it and will give you a call to come and take a look at the building. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Excellent. Director Bauer.
Thank you, board members, for your great comments. Agree with all of them. Just a few things. The idea of making negative positives. I mean, it's taken me a while in my life to learn that, but that's such a great message for kids and us as adults. And then the whole idea of the poem and the song, and the student said that I have a symphony coming together. I mean, that tells you so much about the peace, the welcoming spirit, just gratitude. Thanks so much to you and your staff, and getting to know the students and setting the bar high. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Half of my job is just getting out of the students' way, because they're doing such amazing work, especially they're leaders in our school and leading various things, and just getting out of their way and letting them show us how to do it is oftentimes my job.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Principal Harris. Just super excited to hear everything. And I will say I echo, hearing the students' voices is amazing, because I think a lot of times as adults, we have a lot that fills our mind and we forget the simplicity of just being. And their voices often remind us of that. And that analogy about symphony, yeah, taking that to my grave, that's pretty darn spectacular. She needs to be quoted somewhere on that one. That's pretty amazing.
Oh, she'll be quoted a lot in her life.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I cannot wait to see the history books on this experience. And thank you guys for your work and all of your team. Great, great, great things will happen in North Clackamas with everyone putting in their energy like you guys are doing. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, so I made an error in the agenda by leaving the board recognitions prematurely. So I'd like to circle back to Dr. James.
Thank you. I just want to start out by saying I just have an immense amount of gratitude tonight for so many of our staff. And this is a special recognition for me tonight, as I'm grateful she has hung in there with us. We have a lot of pride in honoring our very own Ethelyn Tumalad, who was recently named and celebrated as Oregon's 2022 Teacher of the Year. And I'm going to share words that I shared at our last board meeting about Ethelyn, as she, I believe, was off getting married. And so congratulations, she's got some exciting times going on in her life. And so what I'll start out by saying is that Ethelyn prides herself as a role model for students. And as a self-identified Filipino woman and immigrant, she sees her role in supporting students and finding their own voice, recognizing the beauty of their diversity, and being unapologetically themselves. Our state superintendent, Colt Gill, shared that Ethelyn infuses her classroom and community belonging and empathy. And former students described her in these ways. Miss Tumalad is hands down one of the best and most thoughtful teachers they have ever had. Another shared that Ms. Tumalad sees and treats each student that walks into her classroom like family and looks for ways to change their lives for the better. She is the reason that many kids come to school, and she teaches students how to be themselves in a world that's constantly telling them to be something that they are not. Ethelyn's own words that she shared: while I am an educator in the classroom and my content area is ELA and AVID, my identity as an API educator and educator of color grounds me in the work. I've seen the importance of having positive role models of color, and therefore it is important that students see themselves, students themselves see their advisors work together to build bridges among each student and each other's marginalized identities. As an educator who always wants to ensure that students become change agents in the classroom, I lead my students with empathy and truly believe that modeling is the best form of education. So as the 2022 Oregon Teacher of the Year, Ethelyn will serve as the spokesperson and representative for all Oregon teachers. She will also receive year-long professional development and networking with other state teachers that have been Teacher of the Year through the National Teacher of the Year program. And I just want to again say congratulations to Ethelyn. Clackamas High School and North Clackamas School District are so proud of you. So thank you. And Ethelyn, anything that you would like to say?
Hi, it's good to see you, Dr. James. Yeah, it was really cool actually being able to share this virtual space and seeing all of the recognition. It was really, really, really neat. I see so many like inspirational teachers from BOP. Some of them came from Clack. Transportation, that was really neat, and really, really cool to see Principal Harris highlighting Nelson's community and therefore Clack's community. That was very, very inspiring to know that, you know, like the students that I recognize, so many of the students. It was really cool seeing Isabel. So yeah, thank you for everyone for having me here and recognizing the hard work that many of our educators go through. It's really an honor to win this award. Thank you to the school board. I feel like you've seen me quite a bit the past year, and Dr. James for always supporting the teachers and the students and everything that we're doing in the community. So while I won this award, what it really means in the grand scheme of things is that my students, my colleagues, North Clackamas won this award. And in my class, in the beginning of every class, we recite in Lakesh and Isang Baksak, which is translated to "You are my other me," and when one falls, we all fall. And this is so true. When one of us wins, we all win. The impact at CHS and my class has been hands down amazing. There's just so much positivity. Like I see the smiles on my students, and especially my AVID students, the first gen kids, my students of color, the API student union students. They're like 65 strong in our affinity group who come. We just had a party today, actually. So it's been really amazing. And this is just the beginning. I hope to continue being that educator who advocates for all and helps all of my students. In Tagalog, we say "Salamat po ang kaibigan ko," which means thank you to all of my friends. So really, I stand on the shoulders of my family and my ancestors, and I'm super grateful that I get to take all of you in front of me on this pretty amazing journey. So grateful for everything and for the recognition.
Well said. Congratulations. Well deserved. Any board members have anything they'd like to add?
I just want to,
Director McVeigh, go ahead.
sorry about that, Chair. I just wanted to say congratulations again. We all have choices in life, and that goes with our employment choices. And you were making a horrific drive, and that's a sacrifice. And I'm hoping, since you got married, that maybe you're a little closer.
No, it's just my last name just got hyphenated. That's about it.
Oh, so you're still making that horrific drive.
And that's okay with me right now because like I said before, North Clackamas is my home. So, right, like there's many different forms of home, and North Clackamas is definitely my home. I see so many of the people, I recognize so many of the people in front of me right now. So yeah. Just the only thing, but I did get married, as Chair Ford said. That's why I missed the last board meeting, and my name is now Tumalad-Granados, but my students now just call me Mrs. Tumalad. That's the only thing different.
Rock on. Thank you. And congratulations again. We're lucky to have you.
We are. Director Perez.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, at the Lynn, congratulations. And I just want to say, the kids won. Because I think back to my high school, and the one teacher that I remember, Mr. Borgioli. If you're listening, Mr. Borgioli, I'll never forget, how you made me feel included and like I belonged, and you valued what I had to say, and you're funny. You made learning fun, and you cared. And at the Lynn, I know with you, the kids, it's not about what you say or do, it's how you make them feel. And I saw you at an event a year or so ago, and you had 2 students with you. And I remember kind of just watching how you were interacting with students, and they were like, totally absorbed in what you were saying, and your body language, you just showed you care about them kids. And we are very lucky to have you, and congratulations again, and hope you come back for some more congratulations and awards. Awesome.
Cool. Director Way.
Ethelyn, congratulations. And also to being Mrs. Tumalad. I hope that you do have a great time to rest, and also to self-care after all the exciting things that have been happening in your life. I just love the fact that you are just so, on top of many things, just so community minded, not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom. And, I have just seen you physically, literally like show up to things on weekends, for events, bringing students, encouraging them, encouraging their voice to be heard. And so I just want to say thank you again so much for just being so inspiring, both in and out of the classroom. And also just want to underscore what you said around just the representation that you exemplify as a teacher of color, as an API Filipino woman, and just how that is so important as we continue to move that work forward here in our state. So thank you for representing not only North Clackamas, but for representing educators and Oregon as you go and speak nationally at so many different events. Thank you.
Anyone else? Director Benaloga.
Yes, Ethelyn, just want to again extend our congratulations and just remind everyone, and I think you've mentioned it in so many of my other directors, I agree with the other directors on the board as well, that this is that we're the ones that are truly grateful, and we're fortunate to have you here, and our students are really grateful to have, are really lucky to have that energy and have that passion for teaching and have the passion for educating everyone, not just on the subject matter, but about being kind and really bringing that into your classroom and obviously bringing that into the community of your high school. So we thank you and are very grateful to have you in the district.
Director Bauer.
Make it quick. Thank you so much. We are so lucky to have you here. Please stay, and we're all better because of you. Thank you so much, Ethelyn. And I also have observed you everywhere in the community. Thank you. Congratulations.
Excellent. Seeing no one else, I will sum us up by saying the day I met you, Ethelyn, my life was just that much better. And I know that you do the same for every kid that you encounter. So thank you for being all of who you are. We appreciate you. All right, I think we're back on track now for the agenda. We have board reports. I'll do a round robin. I'll go ahead and start with Director Benaloga.
Thank you, Chair Ford. Yes, it's been a little bit of a busy month. So I've been involved with the Wellness Committee, and we recently had our benefit fair actually last week. The Wellness Committee did as for the district, and I was able to host the virtual Wellness Committee room and was able to meet teachers as they were and staff as they were moving through the different rooms. So that was nice to be able to connect with them. I was able to attend the RAU collaborative meeting, which again is just inspiring all of the things that the RAU community has really brought together in those meetings. It's so appreciated. I was able to attend the last bond oversight meeting, which was kind of exciting to have that culmination and that wrap up. What a great group of volunteers and staff that have truly overseen the bond projects, and it's just wonderful to hear the information and to have such dedicated community members that have been involved in this committee for several years, so it's much appreciated. I was also able to attend a bystander intervention to support the Latinx community in public spaces. It was put on by Hollaback, and it was really good. It was earlier this week, and I appreciated the information, and it was a virtual event I was able to attend. I actually went to the Clackamas County Commissioners had a forum on childcare, and it was just really interesting again to not only hear from the parents all over Clackamas County how challenging the challenges in finding quality childcare, but also listening to the childcare providers and listening to some of the ideas and the solutions that they had in solving some of the issues when it comes to staffing and pay and that kind of thing. And then last but not least, I was able to attend the Milwaukee High School ribbon cutting with some wonderful entertainment from previous graduates and current students, and of course, just inspiring words from our Chair Ford and from Principal Gelman. Wonderful to just see and hear the community come together and rally behind the beautiful building, but truly not just the building, but the community and how interconnected the Milwaukee community truly is. And we have created a beautiful space there. And I look forward to hearing more and seeing more about the successes at Milwaukee High School. And that kind of wraps up. And then of course, I've been involved with the PCLA as well, which we're also going to be hearing from tonight. So excited to continue our work with them. Thank you very much, Chair Ford. That wraps up my month.
Excellent, thank you. Director Perez.
Thank you, Chair Ford. Yeah, I also was on the final bond oversight committee meeting, and that echo what Director Benaloga said. You know, that was just it was an honor to be on that team. They their work ethic was second to none, and what they were able to do with the funds and in our schools, impressive. I was speechless. That I say that humbly. We were pretty fortunate, pretty lucky to have that team that we had with Cindy and Ron and Dr. James and and Superintendent Otterbeck prior, and everyone else on that team. And then the Milwaukee, I was also at the Milwaukee ribbon cutting ceremony, and that was I couldn't describe that. I can't put that in the words. That was pretty huge moment in our school district for that and for that community. I wanted to get up there and dance with and sing with the three sisters that were singing up there. I was so absorbed in that whole. It was a magical day. And that's about it. Thank you, Board Chair.
Thank you, Director Schradel.
Thank you, Chair. Policy meetings, one of my things I enjoy, so we had that. Also attended the Milwaukee High School event. I agree with all the head nods of how amazing and well it was done. Thank you, Orlando, for sharing that view. And return the time I have left back to the chair.
Thank you, Director Way.
Thank you, Chair Ford. I attended the Oregon School Board Association's Color Caucus Leadership Council meeting on September 25th with a handful of our Leadership Council members who identify as people of color representing different regions. And two of the things that we talked about was the discussions and the decision that was being made on the Newburgh School Board and how it was impacting families and educators and parents and just everyone who was just being affected by their decision, and wanted to just create a safe space for some of the board members from there to just sort of share their perspective. So we talked about that. And again, I think the purpose was really just to, how do we center voices that have been historically marginalized or excluded, and how do we continue to be supportive as a caucus that focuses on equity for all students. And then related to that, we also dig deeper into student voice. And this applies to partnering up with students in the Newburgh School District, again, who may be impacted, currently impacted by what's happening over there, but also having a larger discussion around bringing in an organization called Student Voice, Oregon Student Voice, and they're sort of a newly formed membership group of all high school students. They're really well organized, actually, if folks want to check out their website. But we had a student leader named Emily come and talk to our group about their mission and their vision for really wanting to strengthen student voice in various school districts. So that was really exciting, and we brainstormed some ideas as to how we can start incorporating that through not only the members of Color Caucus, but through the Oregon School Boards Association. So that was just really exciting. And we're going to continue carrying on those conversations at our next meeting, which will be on November 12th. So I can provide a deeper update there. But really grateful for that space that, again, we're creating through OSBA. And I know that several board members here have attended past events, and those meetings are also open to anyone who would like to join. I wasn't able to join the Milwaukee celebration, but I was able to watch afterwards. And I had a parent in the community who actually met her daughter when she was 2, and now she is a freshman there. So she was like, missed you there, but can you believe my daughter's going to be starting freshman year there? And I was like, you just made me feel really old. So, but she's super excited that her daughter is attending the new high school, and just, again, grateful for our board for just providing the space that is beautiful for her and her family to go. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Director McVeigh.
Thank you. I'll be hopefully quick since it's 11:09 here. I attended the benefits committee, nothing to report yet, but I think there's some stuff coming down the pike for sure. I attended the ribbon cutting at Milwaukee High School and looked like a weirdo running around in the classrooms, taking pictures and texting them to my kids saying, look at the view from here, look at the view from here. Not a lot of positive response other than regrets that they didn't get to be in that building. And then of course the homecoming was a blast, although we did lose. Then we had our strategic plan brainstorm that we're all participating in, which is great. I really love that process. A lot of great ideas are flowing. I too attended the Clackamas County Child Care Forum. Nothing has changed since we had kids that needed child care, but something has to change. And I think we're at a tipping point. And so I'm excited that there's a lot of voices and a lot of people looking to solve it. And of course, we had our board governance, which was great. It's a highlight of any Saturday that I can imagine. And then I was attending my first board meeting for the Fair Dismissals Appeals Board. It's very educational. I can't say I'm excited about it because it's not always a great topic, but it's a process that is important. And so I'm thankful that and appreciative that I got put on that board. And then I attended an OSA eligibility hearing, and we had a positive outcome for a student. So that always makes me happy. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Director Bauer.
Thank you, Chair Ford. I attended some community meetings by Zoom, the RAL Partnership, Madres, PCLA Steering, and the Clackamas County Forum, and people have spoken about those. RAL Partnership, I just want to emphasize, and other board members have attended that there's at least about 40 partnerships. I won't list them all, but sometime we should list what they do over there for that community. At the Madres, Desi Nicodemus and CCC staff member Anna Muzos presented pathways for teaching to increase diversity in our teaching. And it's a wonderful opportunity. If you know parents or students who want to get into that, please ask for that information. Chair Ford and I attended a meeting regarding House Bill 2528, which was rulemaking process for defining the population to be served by dental health services. 32 of 36 counties are underserved in dental services. We're fortunate in North Clackamas School District to have our SMILE program, and a program in place that has been at least 10 years, formed by parents that serve in preventative and other measures for our students. At some point, it would be great to have an update from that group that does that wonderful work in our community. And just lastly, thanks to our community for stepping up to serve on that successful bond oversight committee. And I want to encourage people to participate in the survey for strategic planning. I think the deadline is Wednesday, November 3rd. You can do that online. And then also, I can't help but remark about the number of people who applied for a budget committee position. I think it's historic. 20 some people. Thank you for stepping up. We can't choose you all, but stay involved. I was very impressed so far with the quality. We need you, and there is other places you can get involved. So thank you.
Thank you for that. I'll be quick. I just want to piggyback on what Director Bauer said about the Madres meeting. With that information that was shared with us, it's very important to know that the courses that are available are within the Spanish language. So unlike many courses where you need a translator, that is not what this course is about. So please, 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 if you're interested, find out more information from them. For me, budget committee was our focus, just making sure we're prepared for the next steps of selection for the budget committee. I got to attend the Nelson High School first concert in their auditorium with their choir. That was beautiful. It was just well done by the choir there. And also the sound was incredible. As a musician, that's kind of where I go, but it's just a beautiful space. Also got to attend the ribbon cutting for the Milwaukee High School. And I want to say with the Nelson concert and with the Milwaukee High School ribbon cutting, that is community. It is clear that everyone there was completely committed to the success of those moments, not just then, but in the future. And they were committed to the moments before those moments were there. And that to me is just incredible. It just shows how important each individual is in making sure that we have community. As usual, I attended the OSBA board meetings, and we're talking a lot about NSBA and their discussion. So OSBA is our Oregon State, our Oregon School Board Association, and NSBA is a National School Board Association. We're talking a lot about next steps. They're looking for a new executive director, so we're a big part of that right now. And I'm also on the Oregon Community College Association. We had our meeting for that. We've selected a new ED for that. And there's a lot of great things that are happening in the community colleges being prepared for our kids based on what just happened. They're doing a lot of good work to make sure they're prepared for our kids. I also was a part of the strategic forum, which was great in the HB, the dental program, and also a great Happy Valley gathering that Director Perez forgot to mention in all his busyness. He got us to gather with our Happy Valley constituents, our leaders there, and we will continue that communication and make sure that we reach out to all municipalities and stay connected. As we know, there are two different systems, but they all service the same community. So we want to make sure we stay in front of that. So I definitely want to send a shout out to Director Perez for making sure that we gathered and made that start. Other than that, that's all we got. Next on our agenda is our presentation from the Parent Community Leadership Alliance, which is acronym PCLA. We have a report. Dr. James, I'll pass it to you.
Great, thank you. I'm just fortunate tonight. I keep getting to introduce folks that are making a difference in our school district and on behalf of our students and community. So tonight I would like to introduce members of our Parent Community Leadership Alliance, which is a parent and community group that works to advocate on behalf of our district for the needs of students, community, and folks inside. And they do more than just advocate. They're often making phone calls to legislatures, giving us advice and many different other things that we need to hear, but supporting our school district. And so tonight we are honored to hear about some of the great work that they're doing and that they're involved in on behalf of our school district. So I will turn it over, I believe, to Stephanie Rose to get us started. And if not, whoever's starting, jump on in.
If I could just for a second, I know this is you guys' presentation time. We're behind schedule. So I want to first say I apologize. Thank you for hanging out and hanging in there with us. Sometimes when we have a lot of speakers for comments, it can switch up the schedule. So just go by what it says in there, how much time you were allotted. Just try to stick to that as much as possible. I don't want it to be too confusing, but just try to stay within that. But welcome to the board meeting.
Thank you. So I'm Stephanie Rose. I'm chair of the PCLA. I just a bit ago got some really horrible news. And so our vice chair, Kristen Lunsford, has last minute stepped up to take over my role in the presentation. So I'm going to still share the screen and do the slides, but I'm going to let Kristen take it from here.
So thank you for that. And thank you for stepping up, Kristen. But I will say, in listening to the sound of your voice, on behalf of the board, I hope that everything works out for you. And please take good care of yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Hello. We're really excited to share with you guys tonight about our organization and just give you an update on what we've been working on and will continue to work on. So I think it was already said, but I'm Kristen and I am the vice chair of the PCLA. Just a little bit of history of who we are. The PCLA is a volunteer-driven group, and it was created to engage the community and create partnerships in a solution-based environment which enhance the quality of North Clackamas schools. Existing in some form for years prior, the PCLA became the PCLA in 2014, and we became a superintendent's advisory committee in 2018. At the time of becoming a superintendent's advisory committee, the group created a purpose and action statement. And over this past summer, we went back and we revisited the statement, and we updated language to reflect the things that we have discovered as we've grown and formalized. This summer, we also created, for the first time, bylaws, which allow us to be more cohesive in our mission and approach to the community. And then just briefly, the structure of our group. So the PCLA consists of 4 work groups, which you will hear from tonight, a steering team, and then an executive committee. The executive committee is made up of the work group leaders, as well as the chair and the vice chair. So the steering team is a larger team of members who come together to discuss the direction of the PCLA as a whole and give work group leads a place to check in with the group, and we bounce off ideas. The work group, as the name implies, are where the bulk of the work is done. And these groups engage the community in topic areas which have been identified as areas of interest and need and the needs addressed. So I am now going to pass it off to some of the members of our work groups just to talk about some of our past accomplishments and our plans moving forward.
Excellent. Good evening, everybody. I'm Suzanne Clowetter. I'm new to PCLA this year, and I'm the parent of 3 high schoolers at Clackamas High School. So thanks for having us. And I'll be talking with you a little bit about the student care work group. So our work group is a broad-reaching group where we take the needs and concerns of the community and turn them into actions and resources. The Student Care Work Group identifies needs within the community from the What Counts Forum. We'll be talking more about that a little bit later. But during that forum, we prioritize the needs that are discussed based on the number of parents and community members asking about that topic. And then we research possible solutions and information about those topics, and then work with district leadership to bring information and resources to families in the district and the community. Some of our accomplishments and student care events recently have included the sharing of 2 documentaries with families in our community. One was called Screenagers and the other was called Angst. Screenagers provided information for families related to screen time and child and adolescent development. Angst provided information for families about child and adolescent mental health. And then following the showing of Angst, we held a forum with mental health professionals who were present, where parents and family members could ask questions about child and adolescent mental health. We held a child care options forum that was referenced earlier in our meeting this evening, through which we helped advocate for expanded child care options for families in the district. And we host In the Middle. This is a very popular event to help parents and elementary school students transition to middle school. So some next steps that are on the horizon for us is we will continue to host In the Middle. And there's been interest expressed in creating a 9th grade transition event as well. And so we're hoping to design an event that helps families sort of understand and prepare for that transition from middle school to high school. And then we'll be working as a group, the PCLA, to host the What Counts Forum. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And I think I'm passing it off to Venu.
Hi, I'm Venu Rao, and I am co-chairing the academic enrichment part of PCLA starting this year. And I have been part of the academic achievement and enrichment stuff in various capacities. And it was kind of put on hold last year in view of a lot of the stuff going on with COVID things. And I am not really hugely on top of what we had done before that, unfortunately. So I am going to talk a little more about what we're planning on looking forward to. And as part of being the superintendent's advisory committee, the task is twofold. One is to take the information from the superintendent and the directions and where the school needs to go and present it and get buy-in from parents and the community at large for those directions. And the other part is to listen to the parents and the community on things that are causing issues or they would like clarifications, and bring it back to the superintendent and brainstorm along the way ideas for improving things. Now, one of the things that we have heard a lot of in the last few years, not just in the last year, is there has been an increasing number of students who are going into study hall. It used to be just in high school, but it's starting now at middle school in some schools. And so there's been some concern raised, and we intend to look at that and work closely, as I said, with the superintendent and the parents and community and students, and see how we can. It's twofold. It's actually study hall as well as the TAG program. And I know for a fact that the TAG program doesn't exist as a TAG program, but it has been incorporated across the board over the years in very productive ways. But I don't believe that that communication has reached the parents. So they just see something that is missing and not that it got replaced by something else. And so there's a lot of communication to be had, and we're going to be drawing up the plans to make that happen this year. Thank you. And I am supposed to be moving on to Erin, I believe.
That's right. Thanks, Manu. Hi, everybody. I'm Erin Lee. I'm a parent in the district of an elementary schooler and a middle schooler. And I'm the elementary school's volunteer coordinator. I serve on the Leading Library Board. I like to be involved. And so I am on the legislative and funding. I'm on the PCLA steering committee and the work group for legislative and funding. We work to promote the district's legislative agenda. We host informational forums to educate the public about candidates, ballot measures, and advocacy. Some things we've done in the past are legislative candidate forums. We hosted a school board forum last year. We don't endorse candidates, but we try and present a forum to inform people. And then we also meet with legislators. We help with the North Clackamas School District's legislative agenda, advocacy forums. Last year, I believe it was in the spring, we held one on Zoom, which has been a great way to reach a lot of people. We did an advocacy forum, teaching different ways to advocate. And I noticed that I'm from Milwaukee. I don't know if I said that or not, the Milwaukee feeder system, but we had city council members. I believe our mayor was there, and I do know, there were representatives from Gladstone and Happy Valley were also there. So we reached a lot of people, and we also do public advocacy. And coming up, you can mark your calendars for our annual lobby day, which will be, I think it's President's Day, February 21st, 2022. We set it up, different meetings with legislators, and you can show up and advocate for all the things that North Clackamas would like us to advocate for, adequate, stable funding, racial equity, all of those things that are so important and that make this such an awesome school district. I think that's all I have. Oh, but I'll pass it on to Rich. He's going to tell us about the assurance project.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Chair Ford and the board for the opportunity for PCLA to present tonight. My name is Rich Recker. I'm a product of Ray and Yvonne Recker. I'm an alum of Hector Campbell, Rowell Middle School, and Milwaukee High Learning Communities. I'm a white knuckled parent of a 7th, 8th, and 11th grader right now, and active resident of the historic Milwaukee neighborhood. I'm a steering committee member and chair of the New Assurance Projects work group. Ideally, I'm supposed to tell you what that is, but it's such a big evolving idea, we're still figuring it out. I can tell you where the inspiration came from, what's been done so far, and speak to the possibilities in the coming season for North Clackamas communities. I start by thanking you. During an era when most public school districts, always cash-strapped, were focused on test scores, graduation rates, and AP everything, you, this board, included whole child education, equity, and the preparation of students for life success in the 2018 strategic plan. This was brave, timely, and a moonshot scale in magnitude of a challenge. That inspired me and inspired others. In the spring of 2018, the district Cindy Detchon and I approached Superintendent Utterback with the Assurance Projects idea, which was an ambitious effort to make strides in each of those strategic areas by working with our community to answer one big question. What does it take to guarantee every young person lifelong adult success? We propose to research the question, look at working examples around the country and the world, and begin to construct a community scale delivery model. It would need to be replicable, cost effectively and equitably expandable to district-wide scale, and able to be sustained indefinitely at a reasonable public investment level. Superintendent Utterback's response to our pitch was quietly and simply acknowledging the importance of taking risk to be ready to adapt and change as we needed to over time. And he said, go. In December of 2019, we delivered a report and a rough plan. While we were still learning, we proposed a small-scale pilot in Milwaukee through the remainder of the school year, capped by a distinctive experiential and service learning program to follow throughout the summer of 2020. Then, of course, the Assurance Projects work was essentially suspended by the district in the spring of 2020, as the pandemic season launched a profound experiential learning season for all of us. Though the lessons have been hard, it has also provided new understandings and perspectives about our communities and their needs and how to improve the Assurance Projects model. Now the Assurance Project sits at precisely the right place, the PCLA, the intersection of cooperation and
Rich, I think we lost you. Oh.
Yeah, we lost your sound. Rich. Oh, can someone text him from your group or something and let him know he can't hear?
Oh, okay.
There you go. You're back again.
Okay. Any clue where I got dropped?
Well, you said it's where it belongs with PCLA.
Okay.
We lost you there.
At PCLA, we're sitting at the intersection of cooperation and collaboration of school, community, families, and students, all of the co-equal partners needed to deliver on the guarantee of preparation for life success. The district remains a key catalyst and an essential cornerstone partner as PCLA and the Assurance Projects looks to take action steps, recruiting investment and commitments from other foundational partners, all of whom can expect substantial mission dividends over time. We are excited about the potential. We can show examples of communities like our own in North Clackamas County who have activated strategic partnerships that yield results. We also think we can do it better here in our own communities. I'm grateful for all who have invested in this idea to this point and humbled to be appointed to keep it moving forward. Thank you.
All right, and just to wrap it up, to talk about some things that we are looking forward to in the future, we have our What Counts Forum coming up, and that is a forum that we hope to engage the community in to help us with planning in the future. It will give a space for the community to express their areas of concern, and then it creates focus for the PCLA, and that will be held on Zoom on December 16th. And then we are also working with our new district liaison, Shelley Reggiani, and focusing our work on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how we can make sure that that is a thread that goes through all of our work. And then just in closing, we look forward to being able to continue to work with the district and continue to partner to do great things together, which include the various forums that we've created. And we always look forward to engaging more members of the community. And on your screen are the various ways that you can connect with us on social media or email if you would like to work with us. And that's all we have. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you guys for coming. That was excellent. Thank you so much for that information. Can we stop sharing the screen? There you go, and I can see everyone. Board members, do we have any questions or comments? Director Bauer, I'll get to you, Director Way. Go
Okay,
ahead.
just want to thank you for stepping up and being a positive force, being a partnership. I think the value here too is that you do gather information, you bring it back, you help educate others, and it's also a way to develop future leaders. Thank you so much for your important work for kids and families.
Director Way.
Yes, I just want to echo what Director Bauer said. I think I started coming to some PCLA stuff about 5 years ago now, I think, with Director Bauer, because she's always really good at recruiting people to join lots of various things. I think half of us have probably been recruited by Director Bauer at some point, but I just, for anyone who's listening out in the public, I mean, it's such a great group. And I remember going down to Salem with a lot of the PCLA folks, and the Madres were there too. And you know, just being directly advocating with our state legislators and representatives was just a really powerful moment, I think, for a lot of our parents to feel heard, that, you know, their voice really matters in impacting legislation that will ultimately affect their students and our families in our district. So anyways, I've just had a really positive experience with PCLA, and I'm really glad, Kristen, that you had brought up also doing more outreach and engaging other you know, families of color and maybe parents whose English is not a first language. I think it's definitely important to keep engaging and outreaching and networking with communities so that we can get their input and leadership as well. But thank you for this work.
Director Perez.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Ford. I also want to echo what Director Bauer and Director Way said, and add on that, well, actually, I was also recruited on a PCLA about 4 years ago, also by Director Bauer. I just want to throw that in there. But you know, I actually have had the great pleasure and honor to work alongside with Kristen and Aaron and Rich and Venu. And I just want to let everyone know that's watching that the PCLA is a great, which has already been said, but I'll just kind of reinforce what's been said, is that it's a great way to get involved with our community and make connections. And also, most importantly, is a way to form a team, a village, to go and talk to those legislators, especially when we need funding for various school things for school for our children. So please look up contact information for Kristen and PCLA. We always need a village to advocate for our children. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Hold on, Rich. I'll get to you. Any other board members have something to say, or Director Benalogo?
Thank you, Chair Ford. Just want to say quickly again, so many wonderful things have come from the PCLA, but it's really about finding your voice and finding people that are solution driven and really want to wrap their arms around this community. So can't say enough about the work that they do and all the wonderful people that spoke this evening, and just very proud to be a part of that organization, and really look forward to what we do moving forward. So thank you.
And Suzanne.
Yeah. Rich, did you have a follow-up comment?
Just real quickly, I want to call out Nicole Holm, who was founder and longtime chair for PCLA, and there's been a transition in the leadership, and for Stephanie for stepping up and taking the reins. I'll just say really quickly that Nicole put her heart and soul and blood and sweat into this thing, and we'll try to honor her by moving it forward and making a difference.
I'll sum it up by saying thank you guys for your presentation. Thank you for the structure. I think it's good for the community to see the 4 areas. It helps just kind of guide them to you for specificity. So really appreciate that presentation and the structure of that. And I look forward to see it grow and develop in each area. And hopefully you guys will come back and let us know where you're at. Thank you guys. Okay, next on our agenda, we have our class size and caseload support. It looks like we got a triple leadership presentation here, which is pretty powerful group of women. Are we ready to rock and roll?
I think we are ready to rock and roll, if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can.
Wonderful. All right, good evening, directors. With me this evening, I have Drs. William, Rodriguez, and Callan, who oversee our elementary and secondary programs, and we are here to share our annual class size report. Each year in the spring, staffing ratios are created based on projected enrollment. The information that is presented shows how each level was staffed for the 21-22 school year, and adjustments are made based on the needs associated with students experiencing poverty, identified as English language learners, or identified as having a disability. We continue to look for areas where class size and/or caseload needs balancing.
For the elementary programs, we were fortunate to have an increase in enrollment in some of our neighborhoods. You can see that Scouters Mountain Elementary School had an increase of 4 classroom teachers. Similarly, Beatrice Morrow Kennedy had an increase of 1 additional classroom teacher. Likewise, Happy Valley Elementary. So you can see that there's a growing population. And we also want to appreciate and be thankful we were able to welcome 6 hours a day of additional instructional assistance in each of our elementary schools, including the virtual online program. So we are very fortunate and thankful for the support in those areas. Our next portion here, I just want to highlight some trends over time over the most recent 5 years. You can see that in the year 2021, 2022, we have a decrease, likely due to our current pandemic, of class sizes. So the average class size of our students is 23. And then when we talk about dual classrooms for elementary, that means we may have a combination of second and third grade students combined, or 4th and 5th grade students combined. So we have 17 dual grade classrooms, and consistently, we are pleased to share that we do not have any class sizes over 35. And particularly this year, we do not have any class sizes beyond 31. So that's pretty exciting too. And the number of class sizes, as you can see below the number 25, has increased. So that's a positive direction as well.
All right, for the middle schools, as you can see the trend here on the screen, and this year we have on average reduced class sizes from the last time that we have been in person. Our Happy Valley remains our largest school, and Rao is our smallest middle school. You'll see some similar trends in the high school slide. We can move that on over. Again, our average class sizes are slightly smaller than we've seen when we were last in person. For both middle and high school class sizes, it's important to think about the decisions that schools have to make when they decide how to staff and what kind of courses to run based on a variety of needs. So for example, at a high school, you might have 38 students who have selected calculus, and the school may not have the staffing to run 2 very small sections, but instead will keep 1 larger section. Sometimes there's decisions that are made like that. In our system right now, the class sizes over 35 are predominantly in our PE classes. There are some singletons, like I just mentioned with calculus, that can happen, and that have happened in this particular year, but the schools have done a good job of keeping their class sizes as small as possible. Another thing that can really impact is, of course, how much staffing you have, as well as how many empty rooms you have, because you may, it may not always be possible to add staffing because there are no additional rooms in which to put them.
Thank you, Kali and Petra. So as of this morning, the current enrollment for our virtual online program at the elementary level was 465 students. You'll note that the number of students in each grade, and notice that the last column is titled ULS. What I'd like to say about this is that due to the status of this pandemic, many parents who have children that are medically fragile and have other needs, cognitive needs or other impairments needed an option. And so therefore the last column identifies that we have 15 students that fit this category and receive instruction through the unique learning system curriculum, which is appropriate for their cognitive needs. As far as the secondary level in our virtual online program, we have, as of this morning, 452 students, and we have 17 certified teachers who support this level altogether. Typically, or it's common that this level will have higher caseloads because of the nature of how students are engaged in this curriculum. And as you heard earlier this evening, they meet in small groups. There's some one-on-one attention. And so that is typically something that we see. And as we conclude, I just want to say that it's important to note that the overwhelmingly majority of our class sizes are below the staffing ratio that was used for this year's projection. Our class size is slightly smaller than the time we had full year instruction. And we're incredibly fortunate for the ESSER funds and the SIA funds, which have really supported some additional staffing at VOP and in some of our other areas. And with that, if you have any questions, we are happy to engage in those.
Chair Ford.
Sorry, I have children that Hi, everyone. Thank you for that. Any comments from our board? Director McVeigh?
We all love to see smaller class sizes. Just curious, do we know what our overall enrollment is from previous years? Because we love the SR funds, but they're one time.
You know, Director McVeigh, I did not get the overall enrollment for today, but I'm happy to provide for you.
That's fine. I'm sure it was out of the blue. I'm sure we'll get it. I was just curious if we knew off the top, but I love the smaller class sizes. We all do.
Yeah.
And our chief financial officer may be able to provide that information for us with enrollment. Galen.
You want her to provide it now or during her report?
Either way.
Okay.
So.
Hi, we are down in enrollment. I'm working with Leanne Sure right now to get a better idea of really where we are. I did put in a revised estimate to the state, expecting that we're going to be about 4% lower than what we had projected we would be. So that's a pretty big shift. It may not be quite that, but I felt I would err a little on the conservative side. The other thing is that I would say, working with the 10K group, which are the largest districts in the state, almost all of them are seeing similar 2.5% to up to 5% decrease in enrollment. So from their projections. So if that gives you an idea, that's where we are.
Thank you.
Director Schroeder.
Thank you. Just more of a question from the accounting point of view. Well, if all school districts are down the same approximate percent, how does the SSF work then? Because it's not like they all went to one school district in the state of Oregon.
Right. They're trying to figure out, they're going to do a rebalancing, and we'll have an idea of what that is. I'm hoping by mid-November. Adam Krein is working on rebalancing the state school fund. They opened up the collection for everyone. So normally how it would work, if everyone is leaving, if you have a fair bunch of students that are going to homeschool, or if they're going to other online programs, that would be a shift to another school district. It could be an online program. We don't know really yet exactly where that is. So it could be just a rebalancing and everybody gets a little bit more, but you have fewer students, or we could see a slight change in what we're looking at. The other piece that we don't know yet is what our property tax collections are going to be. And so that's the other piece that we're all kind of waiting for.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other directors? Okay, seeing none, thank you for this information, really helpful. I just want to remind everyone listening to that these numbers are important because they give us our budget for the upcoming year. We're now living in last year. So it's important to pay attention to these numbers because it kind of goes backwards, for lack of a better explanation. Okay, next on our agenda is our quarterly financials, and Galen's already ready and queued up, so I will pass it over to you.
Well, good evening. So I'm going to share some highlights from the quarter ending 9/30/2021. Our current projected ending fund balance is forecasted at about 13.58%, or approximately $36.2 million. I haven't made any adjustments to the forecast for either revenues or expenditures at this time. The revenue forecast will be updated once our tax turnovers are received starting in mid-November, and other revenue items will be updated as the year progresses, specifically as we talked about the state school fund when we see the rebalancing of the state school fund, which will be coming out, like I said, hopefully in November. Expenditures are still trending lower than budget due primarily to lower than anticipated salaries and benefits. The September payroll is the first payroll of the year. However, this year we still have many unfilled positions due to the very tight labor market. There are also new expenditures associated with recruitment and retaining of staff, such as providing lunches to all substitutes, raising the licensed substitute hourly rate, signing bonuses for hard to fill classified positions, and raising the pay rate for hard to fill classified positions and substitutes as well. Most of these new expenditures did not start until late September or early October, and so they are not reflected in the actuals nor the encumbrances shown in the report that you have in front of you. There also will be costs associated with staff who are granted religious or medical exceptions to the vaccine mandate, which are also not reflected in this financial report. As in the last 2 fiscal years, the district will need to be nimble as it navigates the constantly changing mitigation requirements surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic. So we do have ESSER funds that are available to us, and we have some funds in the general fund that we did not expend in prior years. So we have some capacity, but we need to make sure that we are always looking forward. Kind of like you said, Chair Ford, we need to look forward as well. So finally, as part of the financial report, you have the investment reports showing the type of investment, maturity date, and the fund for which the investment is held. Interest rates continue to, they're flat right now, and they've gone down significantly, but they're fairly flat right now. But we're working to maximize our investment in the local government investment pool. And we have a healthy cash flow, even though we haven't received our first tax turnovers yet. Are there any questions?
Anybody have any questions regarding our financials?
I'll just a comment. It's great that we have flush with cash, but having openings is not good for our kids.
But it's not good for anybody, I agree.
Yeah, we need to get, I don't know what, hopefully we can get some people applying for substitutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other questions, comments? I also encourage families, if you are interested in this topic in terms of employment, we need some innovative ideas passed off to legislators because there are some laws that also create some barriers. So you may want to investigate that and help us out by using your voice there. All right, if nothing else, we're moving right along. Thank you very much. Next thing on our agenda is our board meeting format. I just want to go over some background with this. Last time we spoke about this was September 23rd, where we came to a consensus as a board to hold our board meetings virtually. And we also discussed that we will revisit this regularly. So here's our revisit a month later, like we discussed. So this is our opportunity to kind of give your view on what you'd like to see us continue to do for our board meetings. The options are to be in person at our facilities at the district office, or hybrid combination of virtual and in person, and or the last option is virtual as what we were doing now. So I'll do a round robin and just try to find some consensus. Director Perez. You're on mute, Director Perez.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Ford. Can you swing back, Chair Ford?
I sure can. Director Benaloga.
Yes, thank you, Chair Ford. I know it's a very difficult decision, and I know that the North Clackamas School Board has always been open, and we do appreciate seeing everyone in person. However, I do think that in light of just the current climate and the current issues, and just making sure that we have a way as a board to move forward and do the work that we need to do, I am in favor of remaining virtual for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Schradel.
I'm in favor of just remote at this time.
Director Way.
I echo the two of the board members' comments of preferring to stay virtual. I am concerned with some individuals choosing not to mask. That is their choice, but I have some health concerns around that.
Thank you, Director McVeigh.
I would like to be in person, therefore I'd vote for hybrid.
Director Bauer. You are muted, Director Bauer.
Sorry. I apologize. I didn't hear some of it. I had to take care of my husband with a medical need. I agreed with what Director Benaloga said even last meeting, that taking care of our core values, not wanting to contribute to the spread of disease. So I keep looking at that. Also, we're getting close to having vaccines for all students, but we're not there yet. Also want to point out the recent request from the county as we approach winter weather and the flu. But also I want safety for all our students, community board members at meetings. When we open up, must wear masks. So I think we're close, but I want to revisit again.
Thank
So
you.
keep it virtual. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Perez.
This is really, it's really difficult for me because I'm such a, me personally, in person, I like talking to people and talking to people in person. And but I also work in the health field, and I see a lot of things at the hospital, the kids' hospital. And for the safety of everyone, as of right now, I'm going to lean towards virtual for right now.
Thank you for that. And I will sum it up by saying I definitely appreciate all the comments that were made here, and I agree with everyone's comment. Last meeting, I was open to going to hybrid. I will say that based on the last week's news events at some prominent school districts here in Oregon, some of our peers were made to be unsafe. And it wasn't just the health part of being unsafe and the medical part of the masking. It was a violent situation that I do not want to be a part of. They could not get the work of the district done. They had to exit the building. I do not want to see us be a part of that. Unfortunately, these are not constituents of the area. Many people show up with the best intentions to tell us how they feel. I love listening to how our constituents feel about what's going on with their kids. I want to hear that. Unfortunately, the climate of this nation has people flying in to disrupt meetings in a violent way. I refuse to be a part of that. I would like to go home safely. I'd like to see all the staff go home safely. And I'd love to see this board go home safely as we do the work that we were elected to do. So for me, virtual is the option until we see people working together and sharing their differences without violence leading the way. So that is my choice. And it sounds to me like we have a 6-to-1 choice of being virtual. So we will revisit it. Again, we only have one meeting in November and we only have one meeting in December. So as a group, are we okay with doing November and December virtual, or do we want to revisit in November?
Chair Ford, if I may, I support exactly what you said around safety, not only the health, but threats and potential violence. And so I would feel comfortable if we go virtual November and December and continue this back up after that.
Thank you.
I support that. Yes, Director Benaloga. Yes, Chair Ford, I support being virtual November and December as well.
Thank you. Director Bauer.
I also support that. Virtual November, December.
Okay. Director Perez.
I can go with that. Virtual November, December.
Okay. Director McVeigh.
Well, I would prefer hybrid, but I will speak with one voice.
Director Schradel.
Virtual for November and December.
Thank you all for your comments, and we will revisit it again for the next part of our year. Next on our agenda is the Milwaukee City Hall quick claim deed, and we have a visitor here, and I want to first just say thank you, Robert, for hanging in there. We're a little behind, but I appreciate you staying with us. So I'll pass it off to Cindy.
Thank you, Chair Ford. Just as a reminder, this topic comes to us from the City of Milwaukee as a request for our school district to release and quit claim a deed that a predecessor of our school district as North Clackamas School District. Back in 1937, there were multiple small districts, and one of those, Milwaukee School District number 1, placed a deed on the property surrounding the current City Hall of Milwaukee. That deed restricts the owner, the current inhabitants, which is the City of Milwaukee, that most of that portion maintained as a public park. The City of Milwaukee has moved to another location now. They are now looking to find out what other options they can use with that property. And as a result, they've asked us to release and quit claim that property. Joining us this evening is Robert Corey. He is with Miller Nash. We've asked him to provide a legal opinion on what our options are and give this board some choices on moving forward. Robert, I'll turn it over to you. I believe you wanted to give them a little bit of a summary.
Thank you. Yes, and as you said, in 1937, the entire block, including the building, was conveyed from a predecessor school district to the city. And 5/8 the block. In 5/8 the block was reserved a restriction requiring the property to be used for a park. And at this point, we have been approached and asked for that restriction to be released. And there's a variety of options that the school district could take. One option that has been discussed and possibly recommended is that we, instead of making a decision now without knowing what the end result will be of the city's process for evaluating its future use of the building, possibly enter into an agreement with the city where we would do a collaborative approach, work with them hand in hand on some capacity, and reserve the decision on the release of the interest once the ultimate use of the property is known. Don't know how much more detail you want. I know the time is short and we're running a little bit long, but in essence, agree that we're going to work in a collaborative manner to see if this property is used in the future in a way that works. And at that point, once we know what the future would be, then a decision could be made about the release of the interest at that time.
Yeah. Appreciate that summary. So as a board, this would mean we would collectively put down our interest in an MOU as a document to then give to the city. And so with that suggestion, I'd like us to do a round robin on how we feel about that suggestion, as well as maybe stating your interest in actually moving forward with that suggestion or something else. I'll start off with Director Strado.
Thank you, Chair Ford. So, yeah, I think in good faith, it's to enter into an MOU to try to figure out, are there any synergies possible, is always wise. As far as my interest, I do have an interest. I'd want to know if the chain of custody of the title from the time the property was deeded back in 1939 to date has been maintained, and if there was any sales liens against it, that they've been cured, but also were there any sales where the deeded restriction from the park area, did it also transfer if there was a sale? Sorry for the compound question.
No, I think I got it. Chain of custody, maintenance, and also sales and lien updates on the property, as well as deed restriction management. Did I capture that right?
Yeah, just if there was a sale or some type of transaction, did the person who purchased or got some type of ownership of the land also take over the deed restriction?
Okay. Okay, got it. Director Perez.
Thank you, Chair Ford. I'm good with moving forward with the MOU. Sounds good to me.
Do you have any interest specifics for the MOU?
Not at this time. Thank you, Chair Ford.
Okay. Director Way.
Thank you, Chair Ford. I'm sort of on the same page as Director Perez. I feel like we've had some great conversations about this already, and I just look forward to seeing what our expert folks here will come back to us with a draft that I can later provide comment on. But I also, I also support moving forward with a draft MOU that we can take a look at.
Excellent. Thank you. Director McVeigh.
MOU, and my interest is that it supports the Blue Ribbon Committee's work.
Thank you for that. Director Benaloga.
Yes, thank you, Chair Ford. I just want to echo Director McVeigh that yes, I think moving forward with an MOU is a good way for us to go. And I also would agree just having them follow the Blue Ribbon Committee suggestions and the adopted goals that the City Council recently adopted as well. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Director Bauer.
Thank you, Chair Ford. Totally agree with the last two directors' comments. I want to respect the partnership and cooperation. I want that to be part of the MOU and don't want to impede city's progress. And I also want them to lead in this process respectfully.
Excellent. I think I can definitely echo all of these interests. So if there's nothing else, what I'd like to do is just kind of repeat what I've heard, make sure that, Robert, we're on the same page, and then chairs will work with council to develop a draft MOU, which we will bring to our next meeting for everyone to review. So here's my summary. I'm going from the last to the first. So not impede city's progress, respect the partnership, support the Blue Ribbon Committee's work, and chain of custody and sale information clarity, as well as lien clarity and dean restriction management. Did I capture all interests that we've stated? Excellent. Well, seeing that, chairs will work with our council. Thank you, Robert, for your clarity and your guidance in this. We really appreciate you. And we look forward to bringing the draft MOU forward.
Thank you to all of you.
Thank you. With that being said, it is now 9:12. I appreciate everyone hanging in there and hanging with us. Appreciate all the participants from all the people that presented, as well as all of our board members, the staff that has shown up, all the administrators, everyone in North Clackamas, and in particular, the families in the community that has decided to make a statement this evening. We appreciate you, no matter what views are, no matter what we think in these moments. It doesn't really change the fact that we are one community. So I appreciate you all. Have a good evening. Meeting adjourned, 9:13.
12:13 for me.
For
Good
you.
night, all.
Next day.